Raiders breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have just traded quarterback Geno Smith to the New York Jets. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to tell you why this is a win for Las Vegas and why every single Raiders fan should believe in John Spytek and tip their cap to the Raiders general manager, because if you're a believer that every inch counts, and as a guy here, I'll tell you this, if I gain an extra inch or two, wouldn't mind. Obviously, I'm talking about football because football is a gain of inches, but if you want somebody that at the helm of the Raiders sees an opportunity to get better, even if it's just a little bit better, being the worst team in the NFL last season, if there's an opportunity to get better, you have to find a way to get better, and that's exactly what the Raiders were able to do here, sending Geno Smith to the New York Jets. So the deal was confirmed by Tom Pelissero, and I think we all knew in our heart of hearts here that Las Vegas was going to be moving on from Geno Smith. It was also reported that the Raiders were going to cut and move on from him. What this deal kind of reminds me of, if we hop down memory lane a little bit, do you remember a few years ago where it was reported that the Raiders were going to cut Rodney Hudson? They were going to cut Gabe Jackson, and then they ended up trading Gabe to Seattle. They ended up trading Rodney Hudson to Arizona. Because the new league year is not official yet, reminder, it's still the legal tampering period, so nothing is officially official yet. Because nothing is officially official yet, the New York Jets saw an opportunity to make the trade, and the Jets said, of course, we would be willing to do it. Now, I will say this. If you see a video of me on Instagram, Twitter, MitchellRentz365, when I first saw the trade, I was like, oh, my God, we're saving $26 million by doing this deal. However, though, by the time I recorded the video, then new information came out from Tom Pelissero, which says that the Raiders are going to be paying the bulk of the Geno Smith contract in order to facilitate that trade. So when you see the trade details, the Raiders, you're going to get pick 208. It's a sixth-rounder. The New York Jets get Geno Smith and a seventh-round pick, 228. This pick 228 was the pick that the Raiders ended up gaining in the Taron Johnson trade from the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. But what's important about it is this. If the Raiders would have cut Geno Smith, they would have saved $8 million, and they would have eaten 18.5. Because this trade is now happening, the Raiders are saying, Geno, I want to get rid of you so bad, I'm going to pay you $17 million to go play for the New York Jets. But the reason why this is a win, and the reason why I talked about the inches when I started the show, is the reason why Raiders fans should like this move and why they should respect that John Spytek did it is because Spytek said, well, we're going to save an extra $1.3 million, and we're going to go from pick 228 to 208. So we gained 20 extra picks and $1.3 million in salary cap space on a player that I think if you would have asked 100 Raiders fans, will Geno Smith get cut? I think 99 out of 100 people would have said, yes, he's going to be cut. So the reason why this is a win, you go from pick 228 to pick 208, and you end up saving $1.3 million extra money. So now the Raiders, you would have had $8 million as soon as the new league year happens. So now that $8 million turns into about $9.3 million. So again, you save 1.3 and you go from 228 to 208. It's a minor win. But when you are the worst team in the National Football League, I don't care if it's a minor win. I don't care at all. I need all the wins as possible. Remember the saying, just win, baby. So give me your one-word reaction to Geno Smith getting traded. And I mean it. I want a one-word reaction. Like, I can understand if Jets fans are like, oh, this is a win. I would actually say this to Jets fans out there. I would be pissed that this trade is happening because, one, the team that traded away Geno Smith last season, they just won the freaking Super Bowl, and the team that traded for Geno Smith had the number 1 overall pick. Now, you can make an argument maybe that's why the New York Jets are doing it. They're like, hey, we're going to add Geno Smith. We got all these first-round picks. We're not going to be able to get Fernando Mendoza, and Geno Smith will help us get the number 1 overall pick. What I honestly think ends up happening here is Geno and the Jets win a few games, and then they're kind of in that quarterback purgatory where they're not going to have that opportunity to get that top quarterback in the NFL draft. But if I had to give you my one-word reaction for the Raiders trading away Geno Smith, I would say win. And that's what that is. It is a minor win, but it's a good win. So if you want to look at the Raiders quarterback depth chart as it stands, here's what we're looking at. I know Mendoza's not on the team yet, but shit, man, any opportunity I get to see that guy in a Raiders depth chart, anything Raiders, I'm going to do it. Fernando Mendoza will be the number 1 overall pick. Then you got Aidan O'Connell as your quarterback, too. Kenny Pickett ended up signing with the Carolina Panthers in a deal yesterday. So the Raiders, as it stands right now, are still looking for that quarterback 3. It's been reported, it's been documented that Las Vegas could potentially look for a veteran, and depending on what that veteran is, depending on who that veteran is, I think will ultimately determine, is Fernando Mendoza going to be a starting quarterback for the Raiders this upcoming season? But here's a little bit more trade details from Spotrac. If you want to look at it, we're estimating that the contract restructure done here involves the Raiders retaining $17.2 million of salary, while the Jets add Smith on a 1-year, $1.3 million deal. So think about it as if the Raiders would have cut Gino, you ate 18.5. So you see that 17.2, the 1.3, that's the difference maker that the Raiders are getting. Perfect. I love this next one from Spotrac. Assuming this is the case, the Raiders benefit in 2 ways here. Thank you, Reed, for making this. They move up 20 spots in the back of the draft. They were prepared to outright release Smith, taking on $18.5 million dead cash cap hit in 2026. So $1.3 million of that would have been credited back to them in 2027 based on offset language. Now they realize those savings in 2027. You move up 20 spots and you add $1.3 million. I want an organization that says, you know what? I don't care if we only have to move up 1 pick. I don't care if we're only going to save $100,000. If we have an opportunity to get better and be better, then you take advantage of it. And that's exactly what the Las Vegas Raiders did here by moving on from Geno Smith. So I'm going to show you the trade here yet again. And if you haven't seen all the other deals that the Raiders have done, I will say this. I believe the biggest winner of NFL free agency is the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe the biggest winner of all in Raiders free agency is Raider Nation, because there's the saying, once a Raider, always a Raider. I mean this when I say this. Geno Smith was never a Raider. Being a Raider needs to mean something again. Commitment to excellence, just win, baby. It needs to mean something again. And moving on from the cancer that was Geno Smith, and I don't use that word lightly, but when you're flipping off fans, when you're ignoring legendary Raiders fans like Gorilla Rilla, I saw the video, it literally broke my heart, because any Raider fan knows, like Gorilla Rilla, I look at Gorilla Rilla like I look at my grandfather. You respect that man. You do whatever it takes. If he tells you to jump, man, you say how high. Like, that's the type of respect that I want. So you're ignoring guys like that. You're flipping off fans. You're getting fans kicked out of the field. I had Geno Smith family members, and I don't blame them for sticking up for their guy, tell me back in November that Geno doesn't want to be a part of this organization. When you bring in players like Geno and you give him a captain on his chest, you look like the 2025 Raiders. Teams take on the identities of their leaders. And the Raiders last season took on the identity of that loser right there, Geno Smith. He had one of the worst years that he's had, and don't get me wrong, the offensive line was bad. But how many people knew that Geno Smith actually had some of the longest time to throw in the National Football League from a passing standpoint? Chip Kelly was bad. There was a lot of bad last season with the Raiders. And does all this deserve to go on Geno Smith's shoulders? No, of course not. But also, you were given a contract extension without ever having to prove yourself. You were giving a captain status on your chest. And because you were given those 2 things, we expected more. I expected more. And I think anybody could sit here and say, Geno Smith was never focused on what was important. He got his bag of money, and then he didn't give a shit. Because when you're throwing interceptions left and right like Geno Smith is, I want a quarterback on the sidelines who's looking at his pad, who's looking at his iPad, who's trying to figure out what the play went wrong. And the only way that Geno Smith would have been looking at anything pad-related, I think you could figure out where he would have put it. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to get into all the other Raiders news that has happened here today, yesterday, and also on Sunday, all the silver and black moves that have happened. If you don't already know, number 1 fantasy sports app out there, it's PrizePicks. Easy, exciting, daily fantasy sports, and we got over 5,500 people watching this show right now. If you're an OG, and I'm talking about PrizePicks, Prove it to me down in the comment section. You already know what to do, Yoda Jenkins. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, DJ Mad Raiders. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. You can actually find your community on PrizePicks, Big Raz. If you want to follow me, you can. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. But on PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. And if you want a little bit of that flexibility, AZ Raiders, then choose the flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Now, typically, I love football, right? Not typically, I love football. No football being played right now. So where should you go use PrizePicks? A lot of college basketball. March, college basketball, one of the best times of the year. Also, the World Baseball Classic. I'm a baseball guy. I played baseball in college. Wasn't good enough to play anywhere after that, though. I kind of played Bundesliga in Germany. Kind of, I did, but it's still Bundesliga, whatever the hell that means. My point is this. I want to be able to root for USA. I want to be able to go the more on an Aaron Judge home run if I see fit. The #1 reason, though, and I mean this, why I play PrizePicks, today's day and age, it's expensive to go out and about. It's expensive to do anything. And to be able to entertain myself as a male, as an adult at 33 years old, if I put in a $5 lineup and I have that opportunity to win, even if it's like $20, $25, I am entertained for 3+ hours. Tell me how you as a man, as you as an adult, as a woman, I don't care who you are, how you can entertain yourself for that little amount of money for that long. That's why I love PrizePicks. Even when I don't win, I'm entertained for an extremely long time, and that's worth every single penny. So download the PrizePicks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And you know what else I was right about? That the Raiders are going to be moving on from Geno Smith. You know what I'm happily being wrong about? I said no way in hell anybody's going to trade for Gino. I will take that L. I will take that egg on my face every single day of the week. Why? Because we got better today. Maybe it's that much. How many guys out here will take that a little much better? I know I would. My wife's probably like, me, I would definitely take it. Taron Johnson. Here was the trade that we ended up doing. So the reason why I wanted to be able to show you this is when the Raiders, Taron Johnson, 7 to the Raiders, 6th-round pick to the Bills. Essentially also what the Raiders did today. If you want to look at it like this, imagine you just got Taron Johnson for free. You just got Taron Johnson, no pick swap. Because the 7th-round pick that went to the Raiders, you just traded that away for Geno Smith. And the 6th-round pick that you sent to the Bills, I still don't know if that's pick 182 or 185, but now you're able to get another 6th-round pick at 208. Then, Eric Stokes, Tyler Linderbaum. Oh, my God. We got freaking Tyler Linderbaum, y'all. Can you believe it? Jalen Naylor. Been getting a lot of good feedback on Naylor. Kwity Paye, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker. A lot of 3-year deals, which is, again, telling me that Clint Kubiak, John Spytek, Fernando Mendoza, 3-year window. The way that I look at that 3-year window, let's be good this season, 8 to 9 wins. Let's be really good next season. Can we get to 9 to 11 wins? And then in that 3rd and final year, that's where they're going to really make that push for a Super Bowl. I only say that because look at the contract breakdown of Tyler Linderbaum. It's like $10 million this year, $30 million next season, $20 million after that. That contract breakdown essentially tells me what I was saying. Also, though, the other moves that the Raiders made. The Raiders also signed kicker Matt Gay. Still don't have the entire contract details out on that one yet. I know some people were like, oh, but he's not as good as Daniel Carlson. Has John Spytek earned your trust? Has John Spytek in this organization earned your ability to go, you know what? I'm going to trust it. They've earned my trust where I'm going to go, even on moves where I'm like, man, I don't know if Matt Gay is better than Daniel Carlson. They've earned my trust. I mean, they clearly had a plan. I say all the time, I want an organization that shows me they have a plan. They're showing you that they're putting that plan in place, and they're executing it. And I think they're executing it very well. The fact that Matt Gay's 2 best season in the NFL, 2021, 2022, special teams coach, Joe DeCamillis. He's now our special teams coach here. So I don't mind the connection, especially if they're going, hey, I can maybe recreate a little bit of that magic that we had a few years ago. Other moves that the Raiders did this morning. You had a restricted free agent tender Jordan Meredith. Essentially what this means is this. Jordan Meredith, 1 year, $3.5 million deal. So the Raiders applied an original round tender on Thomas Booker and a standard tender on Jordan Meredith. If you don't know what that means, Meredith, 1 year, 3.5. A team can try to match that or obviously send in a little bit of a higher offer. If that happens, the Raiders have 5 days to match that offer. If Jordan Meredith ends up going elsewhere and the Raiders don't match that offer, then we don't lose anything. We don't gain anything. Meredith is just somewhere else. For Thomas Booker, since Thomas Booker was drafted in the 5th round, he also, 1 year, it's like $3.6 million. If somebody gives him a better deal, the Raiders, again, have 5 days to match it. If the Raiders decide not to match Thomas Booker and Booker goes elsewhere, we add a 5th round pick to our staff. Now it's going to end up being a comp pick, so it ends up being a little bit later on, but you're either getting Thomas Booker at 3.6 or I hope that no other team tries to, give him a little bit bigger one, because what would end up happening here is we're going to have a Christian Ellis situation. Remember that last year we thought we were going to get him? New England, though, ended up saying, all right, we're going to match that offer, and then the Raiders just didn't end up getting him. But if we got a 5th round pick or Thomas Booker at a $3.6 million deal, I think that's really good value for a 26-year-old that you traded for and you gave up Jacorian Bennett last season. So the reason why I'm hooting and hollering here today is because the 2026 offseason, it just feels different. I don't know how else to say it besides that. I think you're crazy if you don't think it, and I also understand a lot of Raiders fans are like, Mitch, until we win, I'm going to be pessimistic. I'm not going to believe. There's a little bit of part of me that also feels that way. But look yourself in the mirror. Do you honestly think that this offseason feels the same as all of our other offseasons? Don't get me wrong, we've had a lot of good offseasons. Number 1 pick, number 1 salary cap. Geno Smith just got traded. That might have been the craziest thing out of it all. But the Raiders end up getting a win here. So I'm going to ask all of y'all, 5,000 of y'all that are watching this live. And if you're not watching this live, my name is Mitchell Renz. I go live for just about everything, and I'm going to be live the entire week here for NFL free agency. Who won the Geno Smith trade? Type LV for the Las Vegas Raiders. Type NYJ for the New York Jets. I wouldn't blame a few Jets fans to type NYJ because they could be like, hey, y'all have the number 1 pick. We're trying to get the number 1 pick next year, and we're getting a quarterback at 1.3. But as a Raiders fan, I don't give a flying flip about what's going on in New York. As a Raiders fan, that's a win. Jumping up 20 picks and swapping that 7th and turning it in. Hang on. That needs to say 6th round pick. I was going to say, has that said 7th the whole time? No, that's on me. I wasn't looking. 2026 6th round pick. So you end up getting that 6th round pick at 208. So you swap it and you go up 20 extra spots. I mean, that's a win for the Raiders. And it is, man. It's a win for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm happy that we ended up finding a way to get this win. If you guys are excited about free agency, if you're ready for the Raiders to add more players, there's still other needs that we have. Like, I want to sign a free safety. I want to be able to add another outside linebacker. I'd love to be able to add somebody else that can help us go out and get after the quarterback. Those are still some needs that we have. Could we sign a fullback tight end hybrid? Could we add a veteran quarterback? Hopefully, if it's on a cheap deal, like what if we use that $1.3 million that we just saved and we use that money for Kyler Murray? Because that's exactly what would happen. If you want Kyler Murray, you get him at 1.3. I don't think Kyler's a good person. I don't think he's a good long-term option, but Kyler Murray at $1.3 million, you have to admit, that's good value for a quarterback of his stature. Crazy, crazy day, crazy, crazy week, and I don't think it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. For information, Raiders news, for videos on my dog Chuck and my wife Alex, give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, at MitchellReds365, but I am very happy and very excited that the Raiders saw an opportunity, a small opportunity to get better, and they found a way to get the job done. Also, Geno Smith is already in New York, New Jersey, Florham Park, and he's already inside the facility. This is a deal that was getting a lot of legs. I talked to a few sources at the Combine. They mentioned the Vikings to me, and I didn't really think that there was any shot in hell that a trade was going to end up happening unless the Raiders either sent some picks or were willing to take on that contract. They were willing to take on a little bit of that contract to save the $1.3 million and move up 20 picks. John, Spytech, hell of a job. To the Raiders organization, hell of a job. And I'm a proud Raiders fan because I see the hard work that you're doing. You know, I got home last night. Matt Gay signed. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, dude, I'm cooked. I'm tired. But you know what? Y'all deserve it. Commitment to excellence. I want to bring that every single day. And the move that they just did, trading Gino, we got better a little bit. But that is the true definition of commitment to excellence. If you can get better, you find a way to do it. And that's exactly what the Raiders did by trading away Geno Smith.